Welcome back to the Cutty and Govy show. Delray Beach, Palm Beach, Boca Raton. Govy, this is episode, I think, 103. Yesterday, our reels, I think we have 9 reels up, had 40,000 views in one single day. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Anyway, Govy, we're sitting here. The P. Diddy verdict's out. P. Diddy is innocent on all the minor charges, the RICO charge, which I predicted
No,
at the
all the major charges.
Yeah, I predicted at the beginning, Govy, the guy would get time served. We'll find out when he gets sentenced in 2 weeks or a month or whatever it is. Time served, maybe a year in jail. He's not spending the rest of his life in jail. They polled the jurors. The jurors didn't believe the women, believed P. Diddy. You know what I find really unbelievable about this story? Look, this guy is a low-life creep. He's a scumbag, whatever you want to call him, with all this freak-off nonsense. But I was amazed yesterday when I watched the lawyer interview afterwards. The lawyers that represent him idolize him. They love the guy. They represented him 6 weeks in a trial, and they think he's the greatest guy ever.
Well, let me ask you a question. They're paying him. You're getting paid millions.
How much do you think they had to pay?
Millions.
20 million, 50 million? 10 lawyers every day for 6 weeks, plus the pre-trial, plus the post-trial.
Probably 10 million. But it's also the prestige of representing this guy, and then how
Not
many
if you
other
lose.
and then well,
They won, so they're hot now.
but the thing is, they didn't have the pressure on them, even if they lost. Losing is if he serves 2 years in jail, that's a win to them.
But if they got convicted on RICO, he would have served his life. He would have.
Right, but they tried. They tried. But so they had their downside was he was expected to lose basically.
Right.
And whatever you get less than 10 years. If someone would have said before the trial started he got 8 years, would you consider that a win?
Yeah, but do you think there's a strategy that 2 or 3 of the lawyers out of the 5 or 6 were women? Like, is it more believable when you have a woman represent some freak?
After you beat the shit out of a
beat
girl,
the living hell out of her.
And by the way, have the audacity to tell the press afterwards, like the jury doesn't hear this, that it's a modern day love affair. Like how when they said we saw the video, and they're like, it's a modern day love affair. Then they're celebrating afterwards. The people on the streets are taking baby oil and splashing each other.
Yeah, who's celebrating this guy that he got off? He beat the living hell out of women.
I understand, OJ. I understand that like divided the country, where half the people, even the people.
Well, there wasn't video of him murdering people. Here, there's video of him beating women up.
I agree, and you know what? People are silent. You know what's crazy? I still think the guy will be a pariah afterwards. I don't think like Ashton Kutcher and all these other guys, Justin Bieber. I don't think they're running out and celebrating with this guy, saying, "Hey, you're a good guy." I think the whole world looks at him as you got off on this because technically this isn't what it was, but you're still like a lowlife. And I think he's going to serve. He's going to serve a year.
Oh, I think he's going to serve. Well, this judge doesn't like him, so the judge is going to, put it to him. But didn't Alan Dershowitz, the great lawyer, say that he should have gotten out on bail after this?
Yes, they said this is where the judge has a hot one for the guy because he won. He technically won, and this case should be basically time served. A year should have been enough. Or it could have been house arrest at this stage, and he has a house in Miami that he could do 4 months for, and then you got over a year.
Yeah, but even if he gets 5 years, I was talking to a guy today, a friend of mine that was in federal prison, and he was saying if he got 5 years, he gets a year if he goes right away into an alcohol rehab program. Right. So that's 4, and all these other offsets. He says it's 2.5. He goes to a country club jail. He goes a year and a half ass. Yeah,
and he's done.
Right.
So let me. He wanted to get off though. They were waiting for him to like come home. He thought he was coming home.
So let's say it's sentencing. You get 2 years in jail. I'm asking you personally, Govy from the Cutty and Govy show. You get 2 additional years in jail. Do you want to get out on bail and go home to your $50 million Star Island mansion and fight it out and then have to return back to jail like Trump's accountant, Alan Weisselberg? Or do you just say right then and there, take me right to jail, let me serve my 2 years, and then I'll start my life fresh? Would you want to get out for bail, have 2 years in your luxury mansion knowing you're going back to a horrible jail for 2 more years?
I would get out. and
You
take
would get out?
and take my chances with this legal team to
Wear it down?
wear it down and everything. I would take my chances. You know, people don't realize this. The prosecutors in this case. Do you know who the prosecutor was? The girl that was a female prosecutor.
Wasn't it James Comey's daughter?
Yeah. James comes to the FBI. It was his daughter,
Right.
and this is her second big case. She had another case that kind of went a little.
So did they overcharge him, do you think?
I think they overcharged him on the RICO, and I think they just were grabbing, and they could have gotten him on. They didn't even put him on the trial. I mean, I think they overcharged him, overplayed their hand.
All right, so P. Diddy won. We'll see what happens to him on the sentencing. I say my prediction is, there's a couple things. The probation office weighs in, the judge weighs in, the prosecutors weigh in, but I think he gets 5 years. I think he's going to get some time.
I think less. I think the thing that they're going to make a deal with him though on is something what you said earlier. The sentencing is like October 30th. Like the
Oh, is it
sentencing,
that long?
the sentencing, and they think that that's ridiculous. He's in jail right now.
Yeah, it's July.
Like so, they're trying to say like, can you like they should
July,
re-
August, September, 4
like he's
months
ready
more.
now. Like just say to him, come up with the sentencing next week,
Right.
and that way he has a choice like that. So if it's next week and maybe it's a year, and maybe he could be out for Christmas,
Right.
or something. But to make him wait in jail until October 31st in this jail, because don't forget, wherever he gets sentenced will be a country club. He's not in a country club right now.
Yeah, he's in a bad MDC Brooklyn.
Yeah, I mean he's not in a great thing, and he's going up to the guy who killed the healthcare worker, and he goes,
Mangione.
who has the same law for the same law.
Oh, do they?
Yeah, that's the same law.
Well, that's a tough one. They have videos of the guy point blank shooting the shit out of the guy, killing him, murdering, going right up to him and shooting him on the ground, too.
They have a guy with the towel around this thing, kicking the crap out of a girl, pulling her hair, throwing a vase at her, telling you that having. By the way, and the jury got to
So
see.
do you
this.
think he'll ever do anything like that again once he gets out?
Yeah,
You do.
yeah. Like 50 Cent calls him the gay John Gotti.
Right.
Because the one thing that got exposed is the guy has these fetishes and he's gay.
Big deal.
Right. Well, I don't think like LeBron James is saying I'm going to a Diddy party now. I really,
Right.
I think people are going to stay away from. I don't think Jimmy Kimmel's going to have him on the Late Show tonight.
You know what? It's odd, though, Gavi, on the street. People on the street that buy his music, may look at him as an idol. It's like they talk about like
Did they look
Tupac.
at R. Kelly? Did they look at R. Kelly as an
Well,
idol?
Tupac and Biggie Smalls, they looked at those guys. They were bad guys. They talked about murders, and they were idols. Maybe this guy is going to be idolized because
I
of
think
that.
he's R. Kelly, but worse because more people know about P. Diddy than R. Kelly.
So while we're on trials, how about this Konenberger? Is that how you say it?
Yeah, I think Kohlberger.
Kohlberger. He now admits that he murdered these 4 girls while they were sleeping at night in their house. Now, did you see him in courtroom without handcuffs on? Would you like to be the lawyer next to him?
Well, when he stood up, the judge said, "Sit down." Like,
And why was he? He admits to guilt. This is like my Larry David about this guy. He murders 4 people. Now he decides to admit in cold blood he murdered these 4 people, and he wears a suit and tie to court. Like it matters at this point. Why are you wearing a suit and tie? Well, you're going. But let me ask you.
You just read my mind. Why is he wearing a tie?
Why is he wearing a tie? But beyond that, you have a choice of living your life, the rest of your life, making a plea deal in prison, or getting the death sentence and being murdered immediately, or whenever you get they kill you with poison or however they electrocute you. I'd rather be dead immediately. I don't want to live in prison the rest of my life.
Well, they showed you the jail that he's going to in Idaho.
Right.
It's one of the worst in the country.
Okay.
There's like feces on the wall.
What?
It's just a horrible jail, and they've had problems in this jail. If I was him, and he knows where he was going. If I was him, first of all, if you get the death sentence, you get a bigger jail cell than a regular jail cell. They give you a little bit more leadway.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And it could still be 25 years. I would have taken the death sentence and see what happens in 25 years. But there's no way I would go through what he's about to go through.
No, he gets 4 life terms. That's what he agreed to.
But what I'm saying is he's there for the rest of his life with not a chance for parole.
So why didn't he make a deal if he says, all right, I'll make a deal, no death sentence, but I got to go to a country club prison or a nice prison?
I don't think he was in any position for a deal. I think if anything, his lawyers supposedly came to the prosecutors and asked for the deal, and that's why the families are upset, a couple of the families, because they're saying, "Hey, you had him dead in the water right now." I mean, you had a delivery, driver, an Uber Eats driver, basically saying that he was there. So I think they're upset that, like, you have this by the way,
Yeah, but
it's
you know
a
what?
firing squad.
Yeah, oh, is it a firing
Yeah,
squad?
Idaho changed to a I would like to have seen a firing squad.
Wow, that would be made for TV,
I
you
always
know,
said that if you had a made for T
pay-per-view. Oh
right.
my god, that would be amazing, but can you imagine if the guy yeah, I mean, a firing squad, that is nuts.
I always
How
said
many
it.
people are
I
shooting
always
you?
I don't know, that's why I said if you always had a TV show and you could have each state has a different thing, one, different death sentence, one could be electric chair, one could be hanging, one could be firing squad, one could be lethal injection. Wouldn't you like to see a show once a week, they give you
Which
like
would you like to watch?
well, I would like to see the first half hour is showing you what the guy did, so you're like so you feel like,
Yeah.
"Hey, I could watch this." And then I would like to that firing squad, could you imagine, like
Yeah, but you die instantly of firing squad. Don't you wanna see the guy squeal and, be in pain for, like,
I don't
3
know,
minutes?
so do you think if you had 4 guys on the firing squad, do you think one is told, "You're the head guy," one's the heart guy? Like,
I'm sure they're each told a part of the body to hit, yeah.
I mean, that's like,
Yeah.
I mean, that has to be something. So, anyway, that's his
Did you ever
story.
see the movie The In-Laws with Peter Falk? That was so funny when he was gonna face the firing squad. It was hilarious.
Right.
Watch The In-Laws, Peter Falk, maybe 34-year-old, 30 or 40-year-old movie. But this guy, Conan, but whatever his name is, he's sitting in court. His lawyers are next to him. They don't have him handcuffed. And this monster just brutally stabbed 4
Admitting
women.
it,
What?
admitting that he
Admitting it, and you're sitting next to the guy representing him.
Hey, and by the way, H you think it's easy now, even if 3 of them are girls, do you think it's easy to kill 4 people?
My head can't even go there. I don't even know how it
I
works.
mean, I think you have to be you have to
Not
be
if they're sleeping.
well, one gets up, one starts running, so, I mean, there's other people in the house,
Yeah.
that's that's not so
But this
easy.
guy was an expert studying master's degree in criminology and how to get
Made a
away
lot of
with
mistakes.
yeah, he made a ton of mistakes for a guy that was studying it in school. He must have been a shitty student.
But how about his parents? Don't you think something like when he comes home to his dad and all of a sudden the dad's taking the trash out and he's emptying his trash next door into the neighbor's house so they don't get DNA, but they got it anyway?
So are they getting charged as an accessory?
No, but I think they should have. But
Right.
anyway, that's the other one. How about today was the, big beautiful bill?
You know what? I don't even care. I
Oh,
don't.
it's kinda crazy. You got to see Hakeem Jeffries
I
trying
mean,
to
I know
talk for
you're
us.
following it intently. I mean, what's the difference? America's going to be the same. I mean, they're saying, do you see this thing? If you're a gambler now and you lose 10,000, you only get to write 9,000 off instead of 10,000. I mean,
Yeah,
it's like there's so
but
much
here's
crap in the lines, you can't even
there
figure it
is,
out.
but I'll tell you what's crazy. You know, some of it they're throwing out this Medicaid thing. That's the Medicare. That's the big thing. And here's where I don't think it's that big of a deal. It affects 11 million Americans. But the 11 million, it's for anybody who can't work. It doesn't affect them. It doesn't even affect if you're taking care of somebody. You're okay. It only affects that if you're a healthy young person that just doesn't want to work. So why should it be that a taxpayer is giving you free healthcare because you decided I'm not working, I'm not doing anything? That's who it really so that's
I know. So this is why I don't care. I got so lost in these details. I'm
yeah,
just like so over
yeah,
it.
so
And that Hakeem Jeffries is on the floor for 8 hours just as a stall tactic. I mean, it's just such crap, America. I
do
mean,
you want to know the reason why it's hard for me to listen to sometimes the Democrats when they get up there and they tell you why it's a bad deal and we got to stop it.
well, some of it is a bad deal.
But I sometimes I have to sit there and say, okay, this is the party that told me the border's secure. They said the border's secure.
Yeah, so Gavi, I'm a Democrat, but that's undefensible now. I mean, I would like to talk to like the socialist in New York that's going to be the next mayor and try and understand his argument that all these criminals were getting into America by thousands every day, and now it's zero. What is the argument that Joe Biden had to like go to Congress and that he couldn't do
They
it?
got exposed. So now that you have the 30 million here, now that you have
It's
30
30. I thought it was 10.
no, there's 30 million illegal people in the country. The 30
Wow, in
million.
4
So
years.
how are you supposed yeah, how are you supposed to get them out? Like The Democratic Party is like, okay, we made a mistake. You
Well, I
caught
think
us now.
America
Let's.
needs some of them to cut the lawns and to do the
But here's the
dishwashing.
thing: wherever they live, even if they can't vote, they live in an area. So when you do a census, you could have 4 million living in, say, Michigan. That means Michigan gets an extra Congress seat. How do you know that that seat isn't a Democratic seat? And now that you saw last night how tight it is, one extra Congress seat can change the laws for the United States. Why? Because there's illegals. I don't think illegals should even count in the census. Why should that change if you get an extra congressperson or not? But I'm going to give you one other thing, though, real quick. If the Democratic Party, you know how people were negotiating with Republicans, the last holdouts, what can I give you? Like everybody's in a cash grab. Not one Democrat signed on to this thing. You know, if you were a Democrat, that your vote counts just as much as a Republican's. You could have gone up to Donald Trump and said, "This is what I want for my state."
But then you'd be an outsider in your own party.
Maybe you would win. How about this? They said that if you got 4 or 5 Democrats and you came up to Donald Trump and said, "We'll sign on. This is what we want. We want DACA. We want the 11 million DACA things that are still in this system. Let them have a pathway to be a citizen."
Yeah, he's not doing that.
He already offered that when the wall 4 years ago, 8 years ago.
Yeah, but now he's too strong. I mean, he won
But he
Israel.
could have.
He won
But
all
he
these
could have said.
things.
He could have said
He had the best 3 weeks any president ever had.
ever.
Yeah, he he's not giving anything up now. He's too
He's
too
back in
strong.
Iowa tonight. He's going to sign the bill. He's there for. You know what the craziest thing about him is?
Yeah,
Here's a guy that under his first administration got you the World Cup, got you the Olympics. It's going to be the 250th birthday for the United States. He wasn't going to be a part of any of them. And Air Force One, the new Air Force One. And just as it turns out, he's going to be front and center. World Cup waving his flag, Olympics waving his flag, being on Air Force One. I mean, it can't work out any better for him.
you're really pro-Trump.
Well, I think that this weekend, I think he's not done yet. I think there's going to be a ceasefire between Israel and Gaza.
Well, that war's over already, isn't it?
Well, it's going to be, they're going to agree to a ceasefire.
Aren't they ceasefired now? They're all dead. Everybody's
Well,
done
but
in
they're going to
Gaza.
sign. They're going to sign their papers,
Oh,
and they might get the hostages back. Could you imagine if you
are
get
they alive?
some of them? I bet you
Are
are still
they?
alive. Yeah.
Wow.
And the other thing is, he did not give the Patriot defense weapons to Ukraine, so he's claiming that he has to worry about.
But Vlad wore a suit. Did you see? Put a suit on?
He did, but I think the reason why he's not giving the weapons to Ukraine
Right.
is that he's very close to a ceasefire between Russia and Ukraine, and I think he's going to announce that. I wouldn't be surprised if he announces this holiday weekend.
All right. So, how much of this is Trump is good or great and bold and tariffed, or is it these fighters are exhausted? Like Israel's exhausted, Iran's exhausted, Putin's exhausted, Ukraine's exhausted. You know, the tribes in Africa are
I don't know.
exhausted.
I'll tell
They're
you
all
what-
exhausted.
I'll
Everybody, how
tell you
many
what-
people can die? And just think about Israel. How many weapons? It's the state of New Jersey. If they stacked every missile on top of each other, they just had a giant war with Gaza where they shot their missiles like crazy. Then they had a giant war with Iran. How many missiles can this country have that they could keep going?
You know,
It's the size of New Jersey.
yeah, I think that I think Trump's is able to solve certain things because he is standing above, comparing him to like what Joe Biden was, where the world needed a leader. You know, the rest of the world, our country isn't seeing it, but in England right now, and in France right now, and in Sweden right now, they're looking at Donald Trump of how he's trying to kick out all the illegal people here, and he closed the border. For instance, England let in 900,000 illegal immigrants in England. They're trying to do what Trump's doing right now because it's working. They're losing their country. And now they're saying, hey, it's possible. They're asking him, how did he do it?
Well, you see his new hats. It says Trump for a third term.
But the world is asking him, how did you do it?
Because so at the end of the day, since this is my job, one of my jobs being a podcast superstar, folks, I think he took enormous risks. These tariffs could have blown up in his face, true or false. The economy could have cratered, inflation could have went crazy. It didn't. These missiles in Iran could have blown up in his face. hypothetically, they could have thrown missiles back at Israel or us, right? Or Putin or China could have gotten involved in those wars. He took enormous, enormous risks, like real estate developers do, to try and win.
I think
And
his
it worked
risk
for him.
I think his risk were less than what you think. I think he actually talked to Bibi Netanyahu and said, "What's your information you have?" He knew the whole deal.
But Bibi didn't know about November 2nd or October
October
7th.
7th. No, he didn't. But he knew what they were working on in Iran because that was 15 years. The beepers in Lebanon, 15 years. He knew about those things. He shared that with Donald Trump. I think Donald Trump looked at it and said, "You know what? All you needed was a person, a president of the United States to get behind Israel and say, do it." And we said, by the way, on our podcast a year and a half ago, we said it wouldn't be the United States that takes out Iran. They're going to ask Israel to go in and do the heavy lifting. They really did do the heavy lifting. They went 99 yards out of 100. The United States just dove into the end zone and Trump took the credit. I think Joe Biden wouldn't have done this. I think George Bush wouldn't have done it. I don't think Barack Obama would have done it. They would have been like, okay, try to work it out, the peace. Like no one wanted to actually push the button, and Trump did. Trump gave the go-ahead.
Well, I think that Trump was pushed into a corner. He had no choice. Israel went so far, they couldn't go any further. And Trump knew if he wanted to get rid of these guys, his intelligence people told him, you drop the bomb, it's going to land on a refrigerator door and it's going to work. So that's all he had to do was get over there, drop the bomb, and leave.
And he needed Israel to make it that there was
Yeah, he
not
made
one
it
bullet.
soft. Yeah, he made it, they bombed everything.
And he didn't want it under his watch. He didn't want Iran under his watch. So he did that. And now, whatever
Well, so I'm just curious. I watch a lot of CNN.
Okay.
That's my channel. You're a Fox guy, but I like hearing the other side.
Isn't that the network that's now giving free advertisements to the people
Yeah,
to let
they
you know where
lost in
ISIS is
court.
coming?
Yeah. But I like to hear the other side because I'm objective, Gavi, unlike you, that are just like straight down the
Well, I'm
Republican
glad Jake Tapper was able to let you know this whole time that he had the wool pull over his eyes.
that Joe was cognitively declined.
Yeah. I mean, it was nice that he's now making money on him not telling the story. That's what you watch.
Right. Well, anyway, I forgot my point about CNN. What was I going to talk
You were
about?
going to tell me that they didn't have to pay yet, like CBS just had to pay $16 million to Donald Trump.
Yes, right. I don't even understand that settlement.
The settlement was because they're no longer allowed to do anything unedited to make a candidate look better. They did. They actually took what she said, and they made it look really nice 2 days before the election.
So Trump's making a lot of money winning all these, 800 million here, 16 million there, on these cases where he's suing the media.
And supposedly this money's all going to his library. It looks like his library is going to be at FAU.
Well, that's what they're talking about. That'll be fun.
That's a tourist
Is
attraction.
there that much ground over there?
Yeah, plenty.
Is there?
Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
That would be really nice. So,
But what's his affiliation with FAU? Why is he wanted an FAU?
Palm Beach County and its land. How much you got to find land somewhere? He doesn't want to be by an incinerator.
Yeah, that's crazy.
He has image. Boca Raton Airport right there. You could have people coming in.
That's true, and that airport can land big planes, Gulfstreams and big planes can't get in there.
So speaking of Florida, South Florida, and like this area, what do you think of alligator?
Alcatraz. Look, it's a payoff to Ron DeSantis. Ron DeSantis,
He put it together in like 4 days.
I know.
No red tape.
Right.
Up and going.
Yeah, it's a payoff to Ron DeSantis. Look, they're going to put the immigrants there. They have to find a place to put them, and it's a good plan.
He has judges there. So now when the illegals come there, a judge is already there to hear their case. It's like real quick.
It's like Veterans Stadium in Philadelphia.
Yeah, where they have the jail in the stadium. So now they get to hear the case. As soon as they lose, because 7% lose, there's a plane waiting for you, like boom. So it's going to be, they're not going to be staying there like that long. I think what's pretty interesting is your network, CNN.
Right.
They had some experts on the other day, and they wanted to tell you that being there in the Everglades with all these alligators and snakes, it's not that big of a deal, that it's not even that dangerous. Matter of fact, they were saying that alligators really don't eat people and that you could walk. Matter of fact,
yeah, but 6 of them at one time.
Yeah, they said they went into the Everglades all the time and nothing happens to them. You know what? Are they crazy? I mean, they're trying to tell you now that alligators. We live down here. Do you know how many times little dogs get like eaten as you
Yeah.
walk by at dusk, or they pull a woman in? I see
Right.
them on the golf course. Are you
Well, I always
crazy?
look at my pool to see if there's an alligator in there before I jump in. But I remember what I was going to say about CNN.
Okay.
The argument, because I was watching CNN, was that, Donald Trump lied, and I'm embarrassed by this whole argument, that they weren't imminent on a nuclear weapon. It was 6 months away. Does that matter? I mean, what is the point?
Right.
I mean, they're going to get a weapon in 6 months or a year
Well,
or 3 months. I mean, they're arguing the time he lied about the time frame. Does it really matter? They're a terrorist state. They hate America. They hate Israel. They're going to blow everybody up. So if they get it in a year, does it matter instead of 6 months or a month?
This is your network, and they did say there were no
Cutty News Network.
there was no weapons really there. And then when he said that he got
It
destroyed,
was 90%.
but then when they said he destroyed it, now they're saying he didn't destroy them all. Why do they
It's
care if there was
nonsense.
no weapons there? What difference does it make? But there were weapons there, and they got it.
Look, everybody's beat up over the George Bush weapons of mass destruction in Iraq, and that's why they want to say this isn't a real story.
So give me your opinion now. Jerome Powell comes home for his July 4th weekend, and he's been called every name in the book right now. People want to know why you're not lowering the rates. I mean, jobs report came out better than expected. The market is at an all-time high. You got inflation is on its way down. Energy's down. Your egg
Well,
prices,
you're arguing to not lower rates. All those things argue not to lower rates.
right, but
Things are good.
things are good.
Unemployment's down.
But borrowing, the United States could be saving $800 billion.
I know, but look, I was a home builder for 40 years, and I lived and died by interest rates. The problem is the economy with all the metrics is doing good, except for housing, except for cars. And they're afraid if they lower interest rates, housing's going to boom, mortgage companies are going to do well again, title companies, lawyers. The car dealers, if you drive by these car lots on Federal Highway, there are so many cars, it's unbelievable. Like if I was a car dealer, I'd slip my wrist. There are so many cars. The inventory is staggering. So
You know what car company's having a problem?
Tesla,
Whatchamacallit? Jaguar.
is it?
Did you see? Do you remember they
I
had
don't even know what a Jaguar looks like. If one drove by me, I wouldn't know.
you would know. They had a commercial during the Super Bowl. It was the craziest commercial. It was all these transgender people wearing all different colors. No car though. It had nothing to do with the car. It was just about it was sort of like the Bud Light commercial where they had and now their sales are down like 97%.
Oy, it's like the Bud
They're
Light
done.
deal.
No, they're done. Like they went all EV.
Now, what kind of? Well, that's a CEO problem to allow that to happen.
I mean, they're like done.
That's a CEO problem. But going back to Jerome Powell, honestly, they have to come up with another game plan to fix housing. I don't know what it is. I'm not that bright. And cars, because by all metrics, the economy is doing okay. I mean, it's starting to get softer. But I do believe if they lower rates and housing takes off and cars take off, you're going to have inflation again. It's going to happen.
How about I think in this bill, I'm not quite sure because I didn't
Let me
read
ask
all
you.
900 pages.
Okay, if you own a restaurant
Mhm.
and there's a half-hour wait for tables in your restaurant,
Mhm.
and now all of a sudden these car dealers aren't starving, the salesmen are making a lot of money again, and now there's a 2-hour wait in the restaurant, are you going to raise your prices? Of course you are. Inflation's coming back.
I don't know if you might expand. You might open up a second one. You could open up a second restaurant.
But anyway, go ahead. Before I so rudely interrupted
No,
you,
I was
Govy,
just I was
you
going to say I
you
wasn't
do own this
I
show.
wasn't no, I was saying I didn't read this whole bill of all 900 pages, but I believe in this bill is if you buy an American car now, there's no interest. There's no
Zero?
tax.
Oh, no tax.
There's no tax on your
Oh, is that true?
on an American car.
You pay 0.7% sales tax. You buy a car for $100,000, you don't pay the 7,000 sales tax.
I don't believe you pay
That's hard to imagine.
the interest. I think there's interest on the there might be interest on the taxes. You might not pay the taxes.
That's too much
It's
money.
it's a big incentive
Huge,
for American cars.
gigantic.
So
We'll have to look into that. We'll have to get Barrett to check it out.
By the way,
Barrett, check it out.
no tax on tips.
Yeah, I
No,
don't know how that works.
it's going to be interesting because let's say,
Say you make 200 a night in tips, you're not gonna pay the 7% the 30% tax on that? 60 bucks?
no, well, what happens if you're a housekeeper and you're charging $35 an hour?
Mhm.
That's your bill, and someone pays you by a check. Now you could basically tell the person, listen, um,
Just give me a tip
yeah,
instead of paying me by check.
I'm $10 an hour,
Yeah, and give
a
me a
minimum
25 hour tip.
yeah, and just give me my money. Now I'm declaring zero.
You're gonna have corruption and everything in life.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know how you
but
avoid
I
it.
mean, the guy is winning. I mean, like he's only been in office 6 months. 6 months.
It went fast, didn't it?
Well, by the way,
I'm exhausted, folks.
he is. It is exhausting, but to say, well, part of it is listening to. You got Democrats right now. They are actually cheering for criminals to beat up our ICE people.
Well, let's talk about this. I mean, it's interesting that you bring the subject up. Trump is winning, yet a socialist is going to be the next mayor of New York.
I'm
I
cheering
mean,
for that.
so Trump's policies are not winning in the biggest state in the country.
Well, they had a low turnout, and now what's the
Wait a second. Their turnout was 1 million, and the last mayoral election was 1,000,001 votes.
Well, you got 900,000 Jews there. I'm curious to know. They didn't really show up there. There's a lot of other people. By the way, blacks voted for Como, so they didn't vote for this guy. I think. I look. I wouldn't care if the guy wins because they deserve what you get. You have Hochul, who's the governor, did not endorse him yet. Hakeem Jeffries did not endorse him yet. Chuck Schumer did not endorse him yet. The Democrat Party has this. They're put into a corner. They either have to endorse a socialist or not.
So how's it end? How do they fix this?
Well, here's what I think the problem is. If you're a Democrat right now,
right.
and you're in New York, you're asking for guidance. You're basically saying, okay, my guy who won the primary is this socialist. Do I vote for him or I don't? Please, some leader tell me what are the Democrats.
They got to find dirt on the guy. They got to find his
well, no,
girlfriend.
but what are you supposed to do? Tell me. The
You
leader.
got to get him out of there.
Well, who's the leader of the party to tell you? Right now, who is the face of the Democratic
Well, Hillary Clinton did the Steele dossier. I mean, they got to come up with some scam to get rid of
They
this
just found
guy.
out that was wrong, and they're gonna name Clapper and the Brennan.
I understand, but it lasted for so many years, 6 years. I mean, they got
I'm asking you,
they got to dirty this guy up.
Just tell me who the leader of the Democratic Party that can take the microphone and say,
Mayor Adams.
and say, we need to. Well, he's going to say himself, but I want to know what Democrat is saying. You can't vote for this guy because he's a socialist. Will anybody have the balls to say?
Yeah, I'll tell you what. Donald Trump said New York's going to get no money. So if I'm Kathy Hochul, I'm going to say to my Democratic colleagues, if this guy gets elected, the president of the United States just said he's cutting New York off, and he's going to find a reason why. So therefore, we can't vote for this guy. I think she'll take the mantle. Somebody will.
But
I mean, if Donald Trump is threatening to cut the federal money,
all I'm saying is
federal money off in New York.
All I'm saying is Republicans are sitting on the sideline. They're watching the shit show in front of them, and they're saying, "Okay, so who's going to be the guy to tell you not to vote for this guy?" Right now, everybody's looking at each other to say,
Well, how about somebody that doesn't have anything to lose, like Barack Obama or Bill Clinton? They're not getting elected again.
No, Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton came out. They endorsed the guy.
Did they?
Yeah, because he's a Democrat.
How could they endorse him?
Because he won.
He says, kill the Jews, kill Palestine,
But he won. He won the Democratic nomination.
Was it a full-throated endorsement?
I
Is
think
that in the New York Post? Where'd you get that info?
Hillary Clinton. They said that
Wow.
she immediately afterwards. I don't think she thought about it, to be honest with you. I don't think she really
she
thought
knew
about the
anything about the guy.
ramifications of it. But that's a real problem.
Because the Clintons were always good to Israel. They were always good to the Jews. They were not like Jew haters.
No, they were probably
Like Michelle Obama.
right. Or Barack Obama.
Or Barack Obama with Iran, all that money he gave to Iran. But, I mean, they're going to have to find a way, and I'm sure they're working on it day and night to get rid of this guy. I mean, as far as Trump is concerned, he doesn't care. Let the Democrats figure this one out.
You need to run a city with someone that has some experience to run with unions, money. This kid's in his 30s, young 30s. For instance, Philadelphia right now, as we speak, they are having a trash strike. It's the first time in like 25, 30 years
I remember the
that
last
this
one.
District Council 33, they represent the trash workers. I don't know, 17,000 trash workers. The city right now has been on strike for 4 days, 3 days, 4 days. It smells so horrible because it's in the 90s in Philadelphia. Now imagine you're a business. You're paying your taxes. You're trying to fight through the crime. You're fighting through everything there. The shoplifting. Now all of a sudden, no one's picking up your trash. You're selling cheesesteaks outside. You're a restaurant. You want to be outside because the weather maybe is getting a little nicer. You can't go outside
Yeah,
because of the
but
smell.
I'm not demeaning the importance of a trash worker. Don't
Give them
give
the money. No,
No,
pay
I'm
them.
not that's not my argument. I'm not agreeing with you. I'm taking the other side, Gavi, as we do here on the Cutty and Govy show. How much is a trash guy supposed to make? Is he supposed to make 100 grand a year? Is that fair? If you're
I
a
don't
trash man,
with pensions.
you're getting a health benefit, you're getting a pension, you're getting a 401, and you're getting a salary. It's probably $100,000 a year. I was over here at our local cigar bar one day, and I'm talking to this retired guy, and I asked him what he did. He said, I drove a bus in New York, a municipal bus, SEPTA, like we call it in Philly. He said I was making 165,000 a year as my overtime. I have $1 million in my 401, my pension plan. My wife worked in the cafeteria at one of the schools. She did very well. Between the two of us, with Social Security, our pension plans, and what our retirement comes out to, because you get like 80% of your last 5 years' pay, they're making 350,000 a year. Now, this is a guy that drove a school bus, and his wife worked in the school cafeteria.
It's interesting.
So your kids, not your kids, but kids go to college and they have 4, 5, 600,000 in student loans, and they go get a job for 70,000 a year as a secretary. Here's a guy that has $365,000 a year. I'm not demeaning his job. It's an important job. The question is, how much are you supposed to pay these trash guys?
Well, it's an interesting question because you know what it comes down to? It's basically, I could say to you, let's play this game. I'm going to give you 10 occupations. You tell me what they should be paid. So, for instance, I don't want to do what the trash workers do. I think that's a super tough job to be sitting there early in the morning, 5 o'clock, going down alleys. There could be rats. This you got,
But they're making more than a police officer.
well, let me ask you.
What's more important to you, a police
Well, that's
officer
what I
or a
was going to
trash
say.
man?
Well, they might make more than a nurse. So I could turn around and say, what job is more important to you, the nurse or the trash? And you know what? If you're a healthy person and you don't go into a hospital and you don't need a nurse, that person will say, I need
All
that.
right.
I need the trash.
So I watch this show all the time about how much people make. I'm glad you're not on there because I'd be very upset when I see how much you make. No, but how much do you think a thoracic heart surgeon in Ohio makes? Guys working like 80 hours a week, thoracic heart surgeon,
$1 million a year.
2.9 million a year. Now, if you're on the table, you're okay with it because he's about to slice you open.
Right.
But sitting here in your nice, comfortable chair, are you astonished that that guy's making 2.9 million a year?
No, no, because I'll tell you why. I don't know how many of these surgeons are in the country. So if he's one of the best that you can get, I have no problem him making
There,
2.9.
you just proved my point, Gavi.
What's that?
I'm winning an argument, folks.
What's that?
The point is, you're comparing how much a guy makes to what people in his field are making. So I'm trying to make that comparison. Is a trash man as important as a school teacher or a police officer? And I think that's the challenge they're
Well,
having.
there's a bigger pool. So the problem then comes down to is if you would open it up and say, okay, take out the unions. Because all the unions of all the dues and the things, maybe you could go up and find a bunch of workforce for $75,000 a year. They'll take that job. That surgeon, I don't know how many people could do that job. Just like if I told you the NBA, why is there a person making? Why are there so many NBA players
Yeah.
making 25 million a year?
Joe Embiid, 55 million.
Because there's so few on the planet that can do that job and get paid.
So how do you resolve this in Philly? I mean, they have the city over the barrel. People can't live without their trash being picked up. I see now all these guys that have vans that are basically jobbers are running around getting paid by people to take their trash away.
Well, the problem that you have in cities, in blue cities that have a lot of unions, that everybody wants. It's just so easy. Give the money, and by the way, we'll just tax the rich, tax them a little bit more. But there's a strike up there that's looming in Philadelphia. It's not even a strike. SEPTA, which is their public
Yeah.
transportation, they don't have enough money to give rail service, and they're going to cut half their routes. What are you going to do now? You give the trash workers thing. Now you don't have any money for the rail system. Somebody's coming out on the short end of the stick.
Yeah, because the people that make the money aren't living in the cities anymore.
Right. So now
That's going to happen in New York.
right. So it's so easy to just say these people that are keep giving the money. Oh, here's some more money. Here's some more money. But meanwhile, they're running out of keep taxing the rich. The rich are gone. Now, where do you get the money to pay SEPTA, to pay this? Everything, the wealthy guy, he's driving his own
All right,
car.
so let's say the rats, become 40-pound rats. The smell is disgusting. The outside restaurants, like the ones in Philly and Rittenhouse Square, can't do business.
You don't have rail service.
And Trump says, I'm going to have to send the National Guard in. Are you okay with that, to pick the trash up? What if Trump says, guess what, Blue City? I'm going to fix you. I'm sending the National Guard in, and we're going to pick up your trash and fix this problem.
Well, I'll tell you where that would be an interesting situation. I'm going to tell you where that would be an interesting situation.
Okay.
In a city like Philadelphia, which is a very big union city,
Right.
they're asking people not to cross the picket line. Now, the National Guard comes out to your house, and you got trash on your sidewalk that's piled up. It smells, that little liquid that's in the street. It just smells. You see rats. Do you sit there and say to that National Guard, no, leave it here. I want to leave it here. Or do you help the National Guard and say, thank you? What do you do if you're a resident? Because then you're crossing a picket line. You're basically saying, I'm not for you, trash workers. I'm for them.
Well, I don't understand, maybe it's un-American or illegal why there's no strike clauses in these contracts. There's like the police have a no strike clause because it's an essential worker. The police are not allowed to strike. So the same thing for the trash workers. You're going to see sanitary problems, and it should have a no strike clause. You want 100 grand a year, it should be arbitration or some manner to solve it.
They are in a unique situation here.
Sherelle Parker.
If you need the National Guard to solve this problem.
No, they're going to have to do that.
Right.
How else are they going to fix it?
Now, what would be crazy is Philadelphia next year is holding the World Cup. How do you have a World Cup in your city without any
National Guard?
Right.
Trump would send the National Guard in.
Right.
I mean, they're going to have to do something because. So I remember this is 25 years ago. I think it went like 3 or 4 weeks, Govy. Can you imagine if it goes 3 or 4 weeks in Philly?
If it went 3 or 4 weeks, first of all, so many businesses would all be affected. You would have the restaurant business, the hotel business, the actual attractions like museums and stuff, all cheesesteak businesses outside. You got the private sector, the ones who like waste management, that haul everything. You will see a whole new businesses come up. That's what ends up happening? People would go to the private sector. People are going
to say I'm paying taxes and also paying private sector to pick up my trash.
Right. That's what would end up emerging.
Like on Delancey Street, some fancy street.
Just like if there's a rail service thing.
How about if you ban paper products? So now people have to wash dishes. No plates, plastic plates or plastic forks. You have to wash your dishes to eliminate the trash, to make the trash smaller. No plastic cups. Come out with some rationing in the city of Philadelphia so there's less trash.
I think it'll be privatized. All businesses, by the way, right now are already trying to get people. Look, that could happen in the rail business and public transport with buses and stuff. Eventually, someone's going to say, I can give you 50 buses. We'll start a company, and maybe a government helps subsidize it rather than this paying these guys. I mean, it's getting to the point where, a bus driver, what are you going to start doing? Paying $250,000 for a bus driver?
Maybe.
And then
But the question is, if your kid is on the back of a bus, there's 40 kids on a school bus, how much is that bus driver worth? He's worth a lot of money. He's driving your kid.
Well, sometimes the problems that they have with these cities, they showed you a SEPTA bus, and there was no one in the bus. They have cameras and everything.
Right.
It was going home. And it got into an accident. A car hit the bus. Do you know they had like 300 lawsuits of people that were saying they're on this bus?
That's great.
And it's like, that's why, and they're settling and they're doing, and it's like, it's just the lawyers, and that's the overhead.
I know. I mean,
I mean, there was no one on the bus, yet they have lawsuits,
a friend of mine got his car stolen this week at his house. You know
right?
that he's building a new house. So I said, "Tell the cops I had a gold Rolex in your car.
Right.
You were taking it to get it
The
repaired for
golf
me."
clubs were in the back seat with my camera equipment and my 4 stereos, and, it's like, it is, but that's like, that's what happens.
All right, Gavi, we're not solving the trash crisis in Philadelphia. I'm glad we're down here in Boca
Just
Raton.
wanna
We
say
do pay, and Palm Beach pay for private trash down
my
here.
New York Knicks hired a coach, Mike Brown. People wanna know why they got rid of Coach Tibbs. Just wanna say they need it. They have a veteran team right now. They needed a players coach. They needed a coach that can
You're
play.
on his bandwagon.
Wanted to play 10 guys, not
Who's Mike
7
Brown?
guys.
I don't even know
He's the
him.
coach the Cleveland
How do you
Cavaliers,
do
Sacramento,
How do you do with those
Los
teams?
Angeles Lakers. He did well. He
Did
did
he
well.
win?
Got to an
Did he-
NBA Finals. Was Coach of the
He
Year
did as
2
well
years
as the
ago.
guy they just fired.
Better than
How
him.
did he do better?
He got to the
He didn't-
finals.
He didn't wear the ring.
Well, he got to the finals. Coach Tibbs didn't get to a final.
Semifinals.
And he's a players coach. When you coach a veteran team, you can't be like that college coach. Like, I'll give it to you like this. You're watching a racehorse, a horse race. When the guy is coming down the stretch, you see him whip that horse. And it's okay. He's whipping the horse because it's down the stretch. You don't see a jockey whipping the horse as soon as it comes out of the gate because he breaks down by the time the
I'm
race
going to
gets.
take the other side of this, Gavi. Every coach has his own playing style, but I don't think there's such a thing when you're paying Joel Embiid $55 million a year to play 17 games. There's no such thing as a player's coach. He's not a player. He's getting $55 million.
A player's coach is letting players instead of riding them so hard. They just
Played 17 games,
picked
he's
up
doing
2
whatever he
guys, a Poole, and they got the guy Usabli or something from the Sixers. The New York Knicks right now, because of the injuries that took place during the playoffs, they are the favorite to get to the NBA championship next year. You got Indiana just lost Turner to the Milwaukee Bucks, and Halliburton's gone for the year. You got
All right, Gavi.
I'm telling you, the New York Knicks is the team.
All right, we'll see.
I bored you with the New York Knicks?
No. We're 51 minutes, and we're only paying for 50. We're going to get overtime pay like the trash workers here, he charges us triple time when we're over the 50 minutes.
Yeah, I hear you. We're lucky we live in Florida where we don't really have these problems.
Barrett, when you put this up on YouTube, speed it up a little so we're under the 50 minutes. All right, folks.
Have a happy 4th.
Have a happy 4th. Have a great week.
See ya.